So this is a routine for our shoulder mobility. There's 8 exercises and we'll go through them one by one together. For each exercise, I'll show you a repetition first and then we'll go through the sets and reps together. So we're going to start with a toe tap exercise. So we're going to get into a high plank position, like so, and then we're going to raise one arm, touch the toe, hold for a second, and then come back down. Okay, so we're going to do 10 reps of that one to begin with, so let's go along with that now. 2, 3, 3 more. Good. So that's a really good way to get the shoulders primed and ready for more work. So that's going to stretch some of the fibers of the shoulder in the sagittal plane. So we're now going to do a slightly different version to try and get some of the fibers in a couple other planes of movement. So this one's going to be a rotational stretch. So again, in a high plank position, and then you're going to just reach up towards the ceiling like that. And then the same on the other side. So we're going to go through 10 of these on each side as well. If you're struggling to go through all the repetitions, then just split it into 2 sets of 5 instead. Okay. So all the way up. Make sure you're nice and sturdy on the base shoulder. So you're not just kind of letting the shoulder hang, you're pushing through the hand the whole time. So this is 4. 6. Really reach through those fingers. 8. 9. Oops. 10. Good. So that's a really good way to warm up and start getting some blood into some of these muscles. So we're going to switch tactics slightly and move on to a couple of exercises that are known as controlled articular rotations, or CARs. So the first is going to be in a kneeling position, and it's going to be for our shoulder. So I'm just going to move back a bit so you can see properly. Okay. So it's in a high kneeling position, they call it, or tall kneeling. One hand's going to be by our sides. We're going to clench our fist to try and keep the opposite shoulder locked in place. And then with this hand, we're going to start with our palm facing away from us. And we're going to raise it up slowly, as high as we can. Once you're stuck and can't go any further, rotate the arm while you push up towards the sky as well. And keep coming around. And then by the time your hand's by your side, the back of your palm should be facing away from you instead. And then we'll reverse that motion. So come back and then raise the shoulder while you rotate. And then back. So we're going to do 3 of these on each side. It's very important for this exercise that you do it in a very slow and controlled manner. So let's do through that. So there, I've reached the end, so I'm going to shrug up and rotate and come round. So that's 1. Reach up and rotate. That's 2. 1 more. Really good. So let's do it on the opposite side now. So I'm going to change directions so you can see from a different angle. So this time I'm going to do it on my left side. So same thing again, palm facing away from you first. Slowly up. And then shrug up and rotate. Palm facing away from you. Reverse the movement. You might notice on one side it's better than the other on you. So for me, my right hand side feels better than my left. So I should probably do this more often on my left hand side. So we're going to go through another rep. Up and rotate. That's 2 on this side. So that was an exercise for the entirety of our shoulders. We're now going to do one that's a bit more specifically for our scapular joint, which is our shoulder blade in the back of the shoulder there. So it's still going to be a car or a controlled articular rotation, but this time it's going to be in one plane of motion rather than the entirety of the shoulder. So let me just move a bit closer again. Okay, so again it's one side at a time, but this time we're going to still be in a tall kneeling position. Our hand's going to be in front of us here. And firstly, we'll do it in stages. So in an ideal world, we'll do it in a smooth motion between all of the different positions. But to begin with, let's just focus on getting to each position first. So keep your arms straight. Your arms should be in front of you and then a little bit to the side. So in the scapular plane of motion, so a little bit to the side. You're first going to push away from you. We're going to reach up. We're going to reach back. And you're going to lower. So all of these movements should be happening in the shoulder first. So the shoulder blade is coming forward. The shoulder blade is coming up towards your ear. The shoulder blade comes back. And the shoulder blade depresses. And the other hand should be by your side in a clenched fist to try and keep the other shoulder depressed. So again, we'll do 3 to 5 reps on each side, and each repetition you can try and get smoother and smoother until you're just doing a circular motion rather than a disjointed motion. Okay. So reach forward, shrug up, roll back, and depress. So forward. do the same on the other side, so I'll face you this time so you can see a different angle. So, like so. So reach forward, and up, down, and down, reach forward, down, So for me, it actually felt smoother on the left. So I should probably do this more on the right hand side. Good. So this is a really good warm-up exercise before you do an upper body day in the gym or before you're doing any other kind of workout, because it helps to get every single joint in your shoulder ready to exercise and ready to move. So we're going to move on to a swimmer lift-off exercise. So this one's going to be on our front. So we're going to lie on our front with our hands on our head and our head on the floor. We're going to lift our hands up, straighten the elbow, retract our shoulders and then turn them up, bend the elbow and try and get as high up our back as we can, and then let the shoulders relax. And then we're just going to reverse that movement. Look, again, keeping the movement really slow and controlled. So we're going to do 2 sets of 5 repetitions of this one, because it's going to really open up our shoulders and our chest as well. So, hands on your head, lift the elbows, lift the hands, straighten the elbows, retract those shoulders, rotate up, bend the elbows, reverse. So that's 1 repetition. Do 1 few more. That's 2. Four. It's quite a tough one, that one, so you'll probably feel a bit of burning, but as long as the pain doesn't go over a 4 out of 10 on a pain intensity scale, then it's good to push through that if you can. So we'll just take a little bit of a breather, let our muscles relax again, and then we'll go through 5 more repetitions. I may have missed out 1 rep on that one, but no one's counting too much, hopefully. So I'm going to do the next set facing you so you have a different angle. So let's do 5 more of those. Lift your elbows, hands. 2. Good, that's 3. Really tough to keep going. That's 4. Last one. Ooh, don't know about you, but my shoulders were really starting to feel that one. Okay, so we're gonna go on to a dead bug wall slide or floor slide exercise, which is going to help to open up the anterior shoulder or the front of the chest. So for this one, we're going to get into a dead bug position. So our hips and knees are bent at 90 degrees, and our elbows and shoulders are going to be up at 90 degrees as well. So in this position, I'm going to slightly flatten my low back to make sure that my abs are engaged and my rib cage is depressed as well. And then from this position, all I'm going to do is slide my elbows up into a Y while I keep my forearms on the floor, and slide back down while I depress the shoulder. Okay, so we're going to do 2 sets of 5 reps on this one, so try and follow along if you can. So hips and knees to 90, lower back slightly pressed into the floor, shoulders at 90 degrees, and then slide your elbows. So that's 1 rep. 4, 5. Good. So let's move on to another set of that. Just going to put my microphone back in my pocket. And then after this one there's one more exercise, which is a very gentle stretch to finish. But first let's earn that end. Good. I'm going to do it from a different angle so you can see a bit better. So 5 more repetitions of that. So 1. Really keep those forearms on the floor. And 2. 1 more. Good. Walk. Good, so you should really be feeling quite a bit of blood pumping through your shoulders, hopefully. So now that the muscles are warm, it's the perfect time to try and get into a nice deep stretch into the shoulders. And my favourite way to do that is with an upright version of the child's pose. So instead of sinking into your hips, we're going to keep the hips square at 90 degrees and sink into the front of the shoulder. regular child's pose would be back here, but we're going to keep the knees at 90 and then just reach the hands forward and try and sink into the front of the chest there. And we're going to hold this for about 30 seconds. Take some deep breaths in and out. If that's too much, you can just come back up and go from here instead. And maybe just try and go a bit further. Good, so that's an 8 exercise series to really open up and loosen off some of the muscles in the shoulder and to get your joint moving through its entire range of motion. It's so important for any kind of sporting activity or just general 21st century living that we keep our shoulders mobile, and this exercise series is a great way to do that, so thank you for watching.